outside Ireland that as a result have made talking about the legalisation of cannabis a lot more respectable, a lot more sensible and a lot more mainstream. And the fact that when I had a motion on the legalisation of cannabis back in November, the fact that we had two members of the medical profession publicly come out in favour of legalisation, and many others contacted me privately. The fact that Tom here, former head of the Cambridge Police Force, was willing to back it, and that for me was a game changer when it came to the whole possibility of whether cannabis would be legalised in Ireland, because when you have ex-cops, if that's an acceptable word, and members of the medical profession talking about it, well, then concerned parents, and I'm a parent myself, and you're right to be concerned about your kids, it makes it a lot more viable for those people to listen to the argument, and for those barriers that they had against legalisation to be broken down. And it was funny, the first time I came to speak about this topic, my main motivation, I'll be honest with you, my only motivation was because I wanted to be able to smoke cannabis without the guards hassling me or without being strip searched. That was my reason why I wanted it to be legalised. I have to say, I didn't think about it anymore at the time, but for me, it was a good enough reason, and I think it still is a good enough reason. But there are other reasons. There are social reasons, there are health reasons for it, and one of the main reasons why I would like to see cannabis legalised, and this is for students for a sensible drug policy, is because it would be sensible to do it from a health perspective. At the moment, if people want to use cannabis, they do not know what strength it is, they don't know whether it's an indica or a sativa, they do not know whether it's going to get them high or whether it's going to get them stoned, they do not know what adulterants are in it, and as a result of it, it makes it, under the current regime, it actually makes it infinitely more dangerous than it ever would be if it was illegal. And one of the main things that's thrown at people from a health perspective if they use cannabis is that it causes adult demotivation syndrome. Now, I'm not much into anecdotal evidence, but if I was, you'd have to say that it certainly hasn't made Mark apathetic towards life. If you wanted to use him as an anecdote, you'd have to suggest that cannabis actually makes you very proactive, get involved in your community, fight for your rights, etc. But that would be a lie. I'd be mixing up correlation and causation. You just happen to be a cannabis user who does that. There are other cannabis users who are lazy. There are non-cannabis users who never get off their arses, but we will not generalise. But if we were to use the same logic and the same rules as Alan Shatter does, we would say legalise cannabis because it turned Mark into a community act. Now that's the way they tried to do it. And if you want to use me as an example of does it make you passive, you can call me a lot of things, you can call me shrill, you can call me annoying, but you couldn't call me passive. Because my anecdote is, well, before I came here today, I did a 5-mile run. Cannabis didn't make me do that, but I did it anyways. Let's blame it on cannabis, why not? I have ran in numerous elections. I've set up a kayaking club, a snooker club, a soccer league, and I bake my own bread, I make my own soy milk, I'm rearing 2 kids, so I'm going to blame all of that on cannabis. I have never used cannabis, I have no kids, I've never been going for a run, and I'd be completely and utterly useless, as opposed to only partially useless in some people's point of view. So, the whole anecdote thing, that kind of bothers me, and it's still used. It's used by people who are, I suppose, in every other sense, intelligent, and they have a bit of cop on, but when it comes to talking about cannabis, anecdote is just thrown out there. We've seen it in the Dáil in November when we debated this topic. Some of the arguments that were put out there were astonishingly simplistic. The only argument I didn't hear wheeled out is, because they obviously didn't realise that there was a focus study out there in the past, was that men who smoke cannabis could grow breasts if they smoke cannabis. That's the only bogus science that I didn't hear at all. But everything else I heard that it causes brain damage, ignoring the fact that the main brain damage argument comes from a study, the Dr. Heath Tulane study. This study involved strapping basically monkeys into gas masks, giving them 63 Colombian strength joints in 5 minutes, and your conclusion is, well, smoking cannabis damages your brain. But actually, it was oxygen deprivation that damaged the brain. But who cares? That's good enough for people in Dáil Éireann. It'll make them popular, so they think they want to watch the opinion polls. Cannabis causes brain damage. It's official. Well, no, it doesn't cause brain damage. Another thing that's constantly used against it is that somehow it will damage your memory and that it will damage your mental health. An interesting study done in the Johns Hopkins University over a 15-year period, 1,318 people, not one example of, oh, my brother smoked cannabis and now he has brain damage. This was a study done in the Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, and they concluded that there was no significant differences in cognitive decline between heavy users, light users, and non-users of cannabis. I didn't see that reported in the paper. I didn't hear any of the government politicians ever coming out with that study, and the reason why is because it doesn't suit their argument. And at this stage, politicians have put themselves into such a hole on this issue that no matter what you say to them about it, they are afraid to change their mind. Now, some people will criticise people for changing their minds, and in politics they call it a U-turn. What I call it is common sense, because there is a saying, if you cannot change your mind, you can change absolutely nothing. So these people have got to come out and admit that they're wrong. Now, if they think it's helping young people, criminalising them for using cannabis, I would love to know how. I would love to know how ending up with a criminal record which prevents you from getting any decent job, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a teacher, and if you want to work with children, or if you want to hold on to your kids after you have a row with your wife or your partner. I cannot see how it helps people giving them a criminal record and denying them all of those rights. That does not help young people, old people, or people of any age. And at the moment, we have hobbled, I think the term, I heard the term in the film Misery, where she chopped the back of the legs and they couldn't walk afterwards. And that's what this state has done to over 100,000 people. Now you can say, where did I get the figure 100,000? Well, I had to put it together myself, because guess what? We asked a question in the Dáil, how many people have a criminal record for possession of cannabis? Now, it would be kind of handy to know this if you're trying to set policy. They don't actually know how many people have a criminal record in Ireland for possession of cannabis. What I do know is, though, from looking at the aggregate figures over the years, there are over 120,000 criminal records given out. Some people have multiple criminal records. Like myself, they're like milk-run certificates. I have 5, haven't I? Okay. I should wear like a badge here, like the World War II veterans. But what exactly does it achieve? Does it stop people from using cannabis, giving them a criminal record? No, it doesn't. Cannabis use has increased since they actually banned cannabis in this country. And in countries where they have taken a more liberal attitude, they haven't seen as great a rise. So what exactly are they trying to achieve? And as far as I can see at this stage, the only thing they're trying to achieve is some sort of moral objective. And that is that you shouldn't use cannabis because, well, we say you shouldn't use cannabis. There is, at this stage, very, 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 very little argument out there against the legalisation. And actually, when it comes to having a debate on this subject, at this stage are Bobby Kerr or maybe Dr. Chris Luke, you will not get people to come out and debate against the legalisation of cannabis from a medical point of view or from any point of view. But still, we have a situation in Dáil Éireann where out of 166 TDs, only 8 of them could support legalisation. Now, I wouldn't see that as a massive failure relative to the way it was. There was only one person openly supporting it. So you've seen an 8 times increase in support for the legalisation of cannabis since November. So if that continues,